If you have Sagittarius and Capricorn in your placements within your astral charts, they might be competing against one another and causing you some challenges. I'm going to share some insights from a client session she gave me permission to share, so that you can learn and grow and evolve as well. I also have Capricorn in mind that competes with my Aquarius. So that might be relevant for you as well if you have Aquarius and Capricorn. So Sag and Capricorn, or Aquarius and Capricorn. So when I went into her energy field, I saw her wearing a really big hoop skirt, like back in the day in Elizabethan times. I think they wore them like in different time periods, but anyway, big hoop skirt. And she was twirling around. Oh, this is also going to apply if you're an energy healer or a practitioner in multitudes of ways. And I asked her what she was doing, and all of a sudden all these little baby chickens were running out from underneath her skirt. And I said, oh, what are those supposed to represent? And her higher self said, oh, she's like a mama hen. And that's might be how you feel as well. That might be why you got called to be an energy healer. And I said, well, who are the baby chickens? And she said, people I have had interactions with, and they are spreading the gospel. I said, what? I said, like, old religious stuff, but being silly about it. Okay, they're going out to spread the gospel. I said, what are they sharing? And she said, the gospel of positivity. I said, okay. I said, how about we go follow one and see what they got going on? And so we're following one of these baby chickens, and it morphs into a man, like a human man. And then we walk into his home with him, and his family is there. And the kids are all running around, and the wife's saying something to him, and he's getting overstimulated and overwhelmed. And he was about to react, not like in a scary way, but just a little too aggressive. And instead, he chose to take a pause and breathe and recenter, and was able to respond instead. And then all of them have a healthy conversation with one another. And her higher self said, being in your presence helped encode more peace into his field that allowed that pause before reacting. And he was able to respond instead. So just sheerly being in her presence. And that goes for you too, with people that you are interacting with. Higher self said, a lot of times you are undervaluing how much your energy shifts others. You would have a lot more opportunities come in if your self-worth was matching how much you are changing the lives of others around you. Some affirmations. I am a walking energy healer. People want to be in my presence. That doesn't just apply to healing sessions, like client sessions that you offer. Or you're practicing with family members or friends. I am a healing session. Okay, not me doing it in this structural way over here, but me, you. Not making your blessings circumstantial. Not making your blessings circumstantial. For example, I can only receive my blessings when I do this. And maybe that's making content or, again, client sessions. This is where we see the Sag and Capricorn competing with one another. Okay, so Sagittarius is naturally gifted at whatever they choose to do. Like what they put their energy and awareness on, like innate talents. Or if they pick up something and they get hyper-focused on it. So they have a 10-to-1 ratio of effort. Okay, they put in 1 effort and get 10 back in return. Whereas a Capricorn is trying to prove its worthiness through achievements and results, which ends up being a 1-to-1 ratio, which is vastly smaller than a Sagittarius's success level. And this is because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which is luck, growth, and intuitive leaps, and gets big results by following their gut instincts. Whereas a Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which is structure, karmic cycles, hard lessons, and delayed gratification, which can turn into I must earn my value. A person that came to mind was Jimi Hendrix. He was incredibly gifted at guitar, but a lot of that was innate talent, and then he was able to take that and soar. Whereas a Capricorn probably has to put in years worth of practice to be able to get to that level, if they are able to at all. I was saying that she needs to lean more into her Sagittarius energy. There's nothing wrong with Capricorn. We love structure. That can be increasingly beneficial to the Sagittarius energy because they can be a little bit more eccentric and big picture and not always be in the minute details. So they can co-create with one another. But if you have Capricorn in your placement, it might be overshadowing the other ones that you have. I noticed that because I have Aquarius, and so does my client and hers, where we have very innovative ideas, but the Capricorn comes in with that provingness and doesn't allow our Aquarius energy to really take off and thrive. But when I started leaning into more of my Aquarius tendencies, I had people magnetize to me because they're like, wow, this is so different than anything else anybody else is doing. I want to be a part of this. But then again, my Capricorn tendencies keep me on track in life, because if I didn't have that, I would just be off in the clouds 24/7. I said, this isn't really something that you have to overthink. It's the awareness that it's happening so that you can make the internal energetic shifts. And when you notice, hey, my Capricorn's coming in with the A-type personality a little too much, explaining to that facet of yourself, I want things to be a lot more effortless and fun. We're going to lean a little bit more into the Sag energy here, or maybe Aquarius energy. Now that's the first half of the reading that has more to do with astrology energy with the Sag, Cap, and Aqua. And we're going to get into the rest of the reading here, which is more about multi-dimensional connections with different timelines and opening up your brain connectivity. So I saw this giant Goliath beetle that was on a tree, way up in the tree. So her and I shrunk really teeny tiny and went to stand next to the beetle and asked if it had any advice for us. So in this instance, the beetle being on the tree represents being sturdy and rooted, okay, in the 3D reality. And that's how she has been as of recent. And the Goliath beetle kicked her in the chest with his little foot and flung her off of the tree. And her and I went, she's falling. And she had wings that shot out of her back, kind of like a dove. And the beetle said, you forgot you had wings. And what he meant by this was, we need to tap more into our multi-dimensional awareness. This is where if you have Aquarius energy, or maybe even Pisces energy in your placements, would be really beneficial to lean into. Sagittarius and Capricorn are very grounded in this reality, the human plane. Whereas Aquarius or Pisces, you know, the dreamers, otherworldly, are very otherworldly is what he said. This is where we can start to ask for new innovative ideas, insights, and ways to do things. From the plants, animals, minerals, elements in the ethers from different planetary systems. This is utilizing our channeling abilities and astral projection and things of that nature. In the next 3 months, we're going to have our clair and psychic abilities get an upgrade. If we can hold this awareness of that we have been a little too rooted in the 3D and we need to expand outside of ourselves. Now, with these new ideas coming in, the beetle said, do we have to act on all of them? No. That's where Capricorn can come in and be like, hold on. It's more about raising your levels of brain connectivity, making new associations and correlations. This is when her and I started looking at all of these maps, kind of like a pirate or a naval captain would in their quarters, like a big old desk with all of these sea maps out. And so she said, I think I found the spots, and pointed to one of the maps. And she told the crew to set their sails. And the crew in this instance is inner children, higher self, different incarnations. And we all pulled up to an island and we got off and we're walking around and I said, where are we? And she said, the far corners of me mind, like a pirate would say, the far corners of me mind. And we were kind of waiting to see what would happen next. And I heard these kids laughing and saw two of them playing with one another. And then all of a sudden we were in what we would quantify as a kindergartner classroom. And there was a whole bunch of kids, but they weren't human children. They were a mixture of different types of cosmic beings and magical creatures. And I looked around and I said, is there anyone in here with you? Like, where is the adult? Where is the teacher? And they all pointed, and her different timeline said, I have been waiting for you. And my client said, me? She said, yes, you. She said, I'm going to teach you how to teach life lessons from a simplified lens. I'm going to teach you how to teach others from a simplified lens, because she has been overcomplicating things with her overthinking, which can cause decision paralysis or procrastination, or not sharing your ideas with others because you think they're not good enough. And what this teacher, her different incarnation, said, a lot of souls are still in kindergarten with their esoteric awareness. They're still on that level of consciousness, so you need to speak from that space. Not everybody, but some people. Or these versions of them need support with nurturing. You can be talking to an adult, but they're still in their inner child consciousness with certain things. That's why they are reacting versus responding, or doing certain behavioral patterns or triggers, or they just simply need more love, like the sweet angel babies inside of them. Or they want to learn new things in fun, wacky ways, like a kindergartner would. Because a lot of the reasons that we get stuck and have challenges in life began in childhood. So you need to talk to them on their level in order to heal them. So I thought it was really funny, because she said this is a representative of her placements: Capricorn, Sag, and Aqua. Capricorn is there are souls that are still in kindergarten with their esoteric awareness. And then Sag is the nurturing energy, and then Aqua is the fun, wacky ways of learning. So she said, I'm going to teach you new methods while supporting your own self-worth. And we are also going to co-collaborate with the kids here in the kindergartner room. And she asked the kids, does that sound fun? Helping my client with this, and they said, yes! And so what I told her is, you can go there with your consciousness, either intentionally or non-intentionally. So intentionally would look like, oh, I'm working on bringing in new insights and downloads and projects, creations, client sessions. Let me go ask the teacher how she would do it, or let me ask the kids, like, what would they enjoy? Now, they live outside of this human plane, so their answers are going to be vastly different than what we see in the collective consciousness, because they don't live in the same time and space or rules and regulations that we have here, or societal norms. So that's where you're going to get some really wild innovations, especially leaning into that Aquarius energy. But then you can also tap in unconsciously. Like, this is something that is kind of going on autopilot. That's where we're leaning into the Sag. Capricorn is like, oh, I gotta sit down, I gotta make all these plans. Sagittarius is like, I'm going to thrive, period. I know that I'm connected into all of these intergalactic systems, and I'll get what I need. It will just beam into my brain. So that's how we can kind of play around with our different placements, but also make them cohesive and copacetic with one another. I would love to hear in the comments what your biggest takeaways are, and if you would like to learn more about your internal systems and what is coming up for you in the next 3 months, I have Zodiac Readings. You can find them in my bio or in the comments. This is where you share your big 3, sun, moon, and rising, and I let you know how they're working with one another, but also what to focus on in the next 3 months, what to release, and the blessings that are coming in. So again, you can sign up for those in my bio or in the comments under Zodiac Readings. I love you and your inner children so much. I hope this brings you some internal peace within your placements, and I'm wishing you an absolutely magical day.